Welcome to the Coach Patilla Show, shooting live from Transformations Barbershop, 1479 South Hawkins Boulevard, home of the $8 haircut. Only on Tuesdays, though. Owner is Carmine Robinson, and he'll be looking for you every Tuesday. I'm Coach Patilla. This week is a topic that every single parent, mother, every parent I've spoken with says, Coach Patilla, why don't you talk about athletic recruiting? Well, I'm going to talk about it my way. I'm going to talk about it with a real student athlete. There's plenty of great athletes out there that we read about them in the newspapers. We see their highlights on the 6 o'clock and 11 o'clock news on Friday nights and on Saturday nights, but there's nothing like that person that can do it on the field and can take it to the classroom and tell you a story about how they did it. Tobin Buckner. Tobin Buckner is a Book 2 graduate, right? We got that right? He's a Book 2 graduate. Being in Akron, you don't want to mess that up. A Book 2 graduate, attended Northwestern University as one of the top offensive linemen, not only in the state of Ohio, but in the country. Graduated college with a 3.0 GPA, graduated high school with a 3.5. Tobin, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Coach.
So tell us, nowadays in the athletic recruiting world, kids attend camps, they attend combines, they're sending out highlight video over YouTube, they're talking to coaches over Facebook, Twitter. I mean, it's all over the place. Everything is online, it's virtual. What was it like back when you were being recruited?
Wow. Well, it was definitely a different time then. My last season playing in high school was 1987, and so you utilized as much of the resources that you had available to you as you could. And at that time, you just had VHS tapes. You would try to put together some highlights of some games,
right?
And then you would also have like maybe a one-page profile similar to a resume,
right,
that kind of showed your height and weight and a couple pictures of yourself and how much you could bench and how fast you were and who you played against and those sort of things. And then you just shopped it. You just sent it out via snail mail to universities and coaches that you thought would be interested. Obviously, you try to shoot as high as you could and hopefully land somewhere. And so then the communication would start. The coaches would start calling your house and obviously talk to your parents and then get permission to talk to you, and then they would fill you out and get an idea of where you were leaning and where you were going to take your official visits, and then the communication would go from there. So,
but today, what's happening in the athletic recruiting world is that they're doing a lot of the things that you're doing, but there's so many other avenues for coaches to get players. So if you can give advice to that single parent mother who maybe don't have the resources, because I'm sure that back in 87, 86, there was families didn't have the resources to actually do video, and maybe didn't have the financial resources back then. 25-cent stamps, I think it was, but you're packaging and repackaging all this information. They may have not had all that money for shipping and all those things. So what advice would you give them nowadays?
Well, I would say that you basically want to put your son in the proper light, and so you want to put together some highlight information, and then get you can even utilize a service similar to the service that your company offers, to help them get that work done and get that information out to prospective colleges and universities. But I would also say that any offer that's given to a young man, you take it, because you don't want to bird in hand is worth two in the bush. So you want to take that opportunity.
Now, from what I understand, you were a highly recruited offensive lineman out of high school, so you had multiple offers, though, right?
I did.
Yeah, multiple offers. So, I mean, how do you make that final decision? How do you say, well, I have Ohio State, I have Michigan, I have Northwestern, I have Vanderbilt. How do I make that final decision? I mean, what goes into that?
Well, I'll tell you what goes into it, and I'll tell you my personal experience is that I looked at what was important to me.
Right.
And what was important to me was the education. Even if you play football for 10 years in the pros, you're 32 years old. And so you have a lot of life left to live, and there is a lot of things that you need to think about doing with your life. And so I can just tell you my experience at Ohio State. My first trip was taken to Northwestern. Let me start there. And I flew to Chicago. It was my first time on a plane. I was 17. And they knew everything about me. They treated me like a king. Probably told me some untruths right away, which were, you're one of the best linemen we've ever seen, and you could probably come in here and start right away, and our offensive line isn't very good, and so you're going to have an opportunity pretty quickly.
They were being salespeople.
Oh, absolutely, and they put certain coaches in front of you that they know can tell that story with a straight face. There's other coaches that are more straight and narrow, and then you have some coaches that aren't. And so they put those guys in front of you to tell you whatever you think you need to hear. And so at the time also Northwestern was rebuilding their facilities, and so I actually got to go into their weight room and in their prospective new weight room and meet players. And
that was more the official visit though.
That was official visit.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what the official visits are, those visits that college coaches pay for. Those are the visits that don't come out of your pocket. I don't know how it was in 86, 87, but usually they'll pay for one parent to come with you. I don't know if they pay for.
Yeah, but my parents didn't go with me.
Oh, your parents didn't go. So they usually pay for one of the parents to attend with you, and that's an official visit. If you're hearing from colleges and they're inviting you down to watch a football game or something of that nature, then that's a non-official visit because that's coming out of your pocket. But when the coaches are paying for it, that's an official visit, and they're serious about having you on their program.
And so let me get to my point. I think I may be dragging this on a little bit, but I got to meet people, and there was a lot of conversation around what happens after football. There was a lot of conversation about your education, your major, how important it is, and how Northwestern as a university and as a school can get you to certain places. And so we met a lot of people on that visit that weren't necessarily affiliated with the athletic program. You met some people that were famous, you met some unfamous people, but you met some people that went there based on education. And so then the next week I go to Ohio State, and I fly to Ohio State from Akron, by the way.
Wow, that's a long flight.
So it was about a 15-second flight. We get up and we get down, and then I go to Ohio State, and there was a lot of conversation about the facilities and how much people could lift, and how important football was, and you go to the stadium and your face is up on the scoreboard and all this stuff, and it was real cute. But there wasn't a lot of conversation about what happens after football. And so Earl Bruce had just gotten fired. Coach Cooper had come in, and he didn't really know my name. He had to keep looking at my name tag, and so it was a whole different feel from the week before.
Tobin,
right, exactly.
Yeah, Buckner. Hey,
right.
Buckner, this is Buckner. Yeah. Hey. Good lineman.
And so I'm sitting in there. Just tell you this quick story about my Ohio State visit. So I'm sitting in the weight room, and there's a bunch of big guys, offensive linemen and so forth, lifting.
Right.
And so I kind of, I'm talking to one of the assistant coaches who's recruiting me, and I said, "This guy right here, what position does he play?" "Oh, that's our, third string guard." I'm going, "Well, he's 6'6", 320, easy." I said, "This guy right here is not a starter," and he's like, "No, he's not going to start this year." And so
or next year,
right? So that instantly put something, put an idea in my mind, which was, man, if I come here, do I play?
Right?
Or am I just collecting rings and just, not really having a career? And so the bottom line is, you want to play, and that's another thing that parents need to understand is that you want your child to go somewhere where they can play.
Right.
Everybody wants to play at these big programs, but everybody can't necessarily play at that level. And so I have some friends now that did not get to play. They were on the team at Big Ten schools, but they didn't get to play. And so their story is a lot different than mine. I got to play. Did we win a lot? No, but I got to experience the action, all the things that we worked for during the week. You got to experience it on Saturday. And some of my Big Ten friends and other big schools that didn't get to play don't have that story, that history. So,
and we're shooting live from Transformations Barbershop, the Coach Patilla Show. We got Tobin Buckner in the house. Hey, parents, you got to remember, you want your kid to play and you want them to have the best opportunity to be successful when those cleats and those shoulder pads are not an option anymore. We'll be back to the Coach Patilla Show.